Hey, I'm back, and this is the first video of my tutorial set on how to do the chrome that I did for my 3PO suit. I had a ton of people ask about how I achieved this look. You can see it's really reflective, and this has got a lot of weathering on it. You can see in the light, I put tons of dirt, so even with all that dirt, it's still you can see my face. It's still very reflective, nice finish. And when I was at Celebration, I had a lot of people, particularly the R2 builders, ask where I got my metal done and how much did it cost and is that made out of metal? A lot of questions like that. When I told them I did it on my own, a lot of people want to know how. So this video set is going to cover the basics on how I got this set up. Now, this method is based on the Stan Winston School of Character Arts metal painting tutorial set, which is done by Rob Ramsdell. And in the method that they show on the tutorial, their method is more of a chrome look, which looks like this. This is just from a chrome-plated airbrush, but this is very much what their chrome looks like. Looks very good, but it's not the right color for my 3PO, and I kind of didn't realize that until I started, and I wasn't getting it. Just didn't look right. It was shiny and nice, but the color just was wrong. And I was going more for this look, which is aluminum. This is my shifter knob for my car. You can see it's still totally reflective. You can see stuff across the room, but the darks aren't as dark as it is with the nickel. But this is what I wanted right here. And this is very much matched to anything that's been vacuum metallized, uses an aluminum process, and it has that kind of look. It's a little bit of a lighter metal. When I was at Celebration 6, I got to see an R2 dome that was made by Industrial Light and Magic that had made out of fiberglass, but it was vacuum metallized, silver, just like that, and it matched my suit just about perfectly. So I feel very good about this process, and I think it's comparable to vacuum metallizing, but in order to get it right, you have to put in some steps at the beginning. So this video I'm going to show what you're going to need if you want to follow along. Now to start out with, you're going to need a primer of some sort. Now if the piece you're working with has markings, or if you're doing an R2D2 dome and it has spin marks or anything from the copy, whatever's copied from the aluminum one, you want to fill those in. You're going to use a filler primer. This Krylon primer isn't a filler primer. It's very thin, so if there's like a little pinhole or little scratch or divot, it'll still show through with this primer on the top. This is just helps the paint adhere a little bit better to the surface, and it works pretty nice, but you can use whatever primer makes you happy. The next coat is going to be your base coat, and I'm using this cheap Krylon white. I'm going to try to keep all these tutorials on the cheap side so they're more affordable, but if you have access to like a automotive type spray gun or anything, and you can get high quality automotive paints, you'll probably get an even better finish, but that's up to you. This will work fine. I've actually found a few things I think might actually be benefits to using a cheaper paint, which I'll talk about when I get to those steps in the tutorials. But for these, I'm going to just use a Krylon white for the aluminum. For the video that I do, I'm going to also cover a quick video on how to do the regular chrome, which needs a black base coat for that chrome. But for the aluminum, you need white. And the magic ingredient is all Clad 2 chrome. The number is 107, and this is what gives the metal. And this little bottle, 1 ounce, is $8.65 at my local hobby shop. This is enough to cover one entire leg of my C3PO from the ankle to the hip, and gives just about the right amount of coverage just for that amount. So it kind of gives you an idea. I ended up using 8 bottles of this to do my entire 3PO suit, and 10 bottles would have been better, but to give an idea, I'm between 5'10", 5'11", and 8 bottles of this could cover my entire body, basically, is what that boils down to. So with those steps, those are the basic needs of your paint. I am going to cover how to make them tint it to gold, which you will need somewhere around here. I put this down. I can't find it. Here we go. Copic, and it's E55 light caramel. This is an ink card. This is ink to refill a pen. These are between $6 and $8 for a bottle like this. This color, when sprayed over the chrome, almost exactly matches the 3M gold wrap that I bought a few months ago as far as color. The color is really good. I'm still working on a few little, not necessarily kinks, but I'm trying to work out a few things with this ink on the over the chrome to tint it, which I'll cover later in one of the later videos, so hopefully by then I'll have it figured out. On top of those things, you're going to need something to buff your primer layer. I've been using Scotch-Brite. They work great. They're really cheap for a whole pack of them. They last a long time, and you can wash them out. After you put your base coat down, you're going to need sandpaper. I start at 800 and then go up to 2000, and I wet sand the white finish to as smooth as I can get it. And then once that's as smooth as possible, I may hit it with 4/0 steel wool. Sometimes I skip the steel wool, it just depends on how it's looking. And then I'll hit it with rubbing compound and then polishing compound. So it takes a lot of work to get it smooth, and I think being in Florida, it actually takes a little more because the humidity and gloss paints don't cooperate very well. I think if you live in a drier state, you're going to have better luck with the gloss. You may not need to put as much prep work into it. So over the next few days, I'm going to prep up all of these pieces. I have this thing I started back in April. That's a wall-mounted C3PO bust. I have a few older posts ago, a few months ago. I'll link to it so you can check it out. I'm going to redo that whole thing with this chrome method, and so it'll look better. I have a vacuum formed face. It's just plastic right now, so this will be a good one to show from scratch. And I have my fiberglass C3PO face that is painted white. And it's sort of reflective, but it hasn't been polished yet. So once it's polished, it'll be a little better. So I'll cover those steps in my next video. And oh yeah, for the Clad, for this stuff, you're gonna need an airbrush to apply it, or a small kind of like a detail paint sprayer for like automotive use. But you know, airbrushes work fine. If you've never used an airbrush, you don't know anything about them, this is called dual action airbrush, and it's a dual action because the button here has two steps. You push down, and that is your airflow, and then as you pull back, you release the your pigment, whether you use, I don't know, enamel base pigments or acrylic or watercolor or inks. That controls how much spray comes out. And these will work fine. If you already have one, this is great. But what I found works the best for me is this cheap single action, just regular old cheapo airbrush. And the good thing about this is that you can set the amount of flow to a consistent point, and then you set your pressure at your regulator down by your compressor, 15 psi, really low pressure. And once it's set, every time you hit it, you get a completely consistent output of your all-clad metal. And it needs to go on really fine, which I'll go over later. But this cheap airbrush is my favorite for applying this stuff. And a cheap airbrush like this and a small compressor, if you don't have one, you can get one for probably 50 or 60 bucks, maybe even less if you look around online. You can get a whole kit with multiple airbrushes for 150, 200 bucks, and that's more than sufficient to get you through this project. If you want nice stuff, you can obviously go way higher. But yeah, those are the basics that you'll need. I'll hold them up again really quick. You need a primer, your choice, whatever you want to use. White base coat if you're going for the aluminum look. If you want to do chrome, you're going to get black base coat, or you can use a black primer with a clear coat over it. But you can't, acrylic clear coats aren't good, so you want to, an automotive clear coat would be the best thing if you can do it, but the polished black is going to work okay, I think. All Clad 2 paints, number 107, and sandpaper, polishing compounds, all these things help to get it very reflective. One of my older videos from a few weeks ago, I show the reflective quality I was going for in the chest, and that came out very nice. It's very, very reflective, and it's up to you. How much work you put in it is going to affect the overall finish in the long run. So it's the sky's the limit, and all these things apply if you were to send it to get vac metallized and it wasn't as polished, you would still not get a good finish. So it's pretty imperative that you really, really finish it. When you think it's smooth enough, you make it smoother than that. That's all I can say, and should be good. So anyway, hopefully that helps get started. I'll be working on the other videos for the rest of the weekend and try to get updates on there, and as soon as they're all done, I will combine them all in one video. I'll make shortcuts at the beginning so you can fast forward to certain parts of the video to save you time, you don't have to search. And I think that about covers it. I gotta say thanks to Chris Bartlett for the C3PO Builders shirts there. I think they came out great. So next time you see me, I'm going to try to shave, probably cut my hair, change my clothes, and I'll be back soon. So thanks for watching. See you guys in a bit. Bye.